It's not easy operating a family-owned business these days, but Reading has its fair share of them. We're going to talk to a few of the owners who are in the second and third generation of doing business.
Many years ago, back in the early 1900s, it was part of a chain of 80 or 90 stores that was called Atlantic Butchers of New England. And at the time, I believe it was back in the 1920 or so, the chain was breaking up and it was closing stores and selling stores. And my dad and my grandfather, my dad was about 16, 17 at the time, they were looking for a business to go into. They had a garage at the time, and it wasn't a particularly successful business. So they thought they wanted to go into the supermarket business. Of course, it wasn't a supermarket in those days. It was just a little grocery store. And what happened was they opened it, and they worked like dogs morning, noon, and night. They never had, there was no profit, was an unheard of word. They would take whatever was left in the register at night, and that would be what they would use to live on. When my grandfather passed away, my father took over the business entirely, and that's when it began to show some growth. And over the years, we kept buying buildings in the vicinity, and we would add on and we would expand and make things bigger and better for the customer, and till we have what we have here today. And we're always, it's difficult to expand anymore because we've bought up everyone that wants to sell. But now what we're doing is concentrating on more services and interior things, more departments, better service, better equipment, and we've shown growth every year, I think since 1922, and we hope to continue to do that. I am the, not the last generation, but I have two daughters, and they're doctors, so I don't think they're coming into it. But I've still got a few good years left, and I got a great team of people that could run this business, I think, very nicely if I took long, extended vacations. We're very, very delighted to be in the town. The town's been good to us, and we hope it's been a mutually beneficial relationship.
My father came out of North Carolina, early 30s. He established that shop up in Herndon Street in Reading, which is now the site of Walgreens. And he probably stayed there 10 to 15 years. And he moved over across the street to Main Street, next to a very famous ice cream candy store called Torrey's. Big 50s hangout for the high school kids and that type of thing. And had at least 20, 25 years in that one location. Ran a very successful business. And from there, he opened a second shop up down at Redstone Shopping Center and spent a good part of 30 years down there. Had both shops running concurrently, both successful. About that time, my brother Bob and I both got into the business, and I wound up down at Redstone with my father helping him, and Bob took over the Reading store. I think it was back in '91 we closed Redstone. Bob closed his shop up in Haven Street in Reading, and we merged in this location here. We had bought this building, perhaps 8 years prior to our merging our businesses here. And we've been here ever since. It's our 16th year in business in this location. But overall, the business, the family-owned business has been in Reading for approaching 75 years. One thing my father always wanted in town was his own building. He never got to that point where he actually owned one. So when Bob and I had a chance to buy this building, we bought it and named the building after him. And I'm sure if he's looking down right now, he's got a smile on his face. So,
just over the years, we've had a lot of interesting stories concerning some of our clients. Dwight Evans, for many years, was a customer to the shop. Prior to him coming in to get his haircut, we were out playing wiffle ball up against the Star Market wall down at Redstone when one of our businesses was down there. And he grabbed the bat, and I was pitching to him. The next night, which happened to be a Sunday night, Dwight Evans was on the Eddie Andelman show. And Dick called me and said, why don't we call Dwight, we'll razz him, you know. So, yeah, it sounded like a great idea. So we both called. Dick was mentioning about how he questioned whether or not was that him in Redstone, knowing it was him, but sort of letting on, you know. So he says, yes, that was me. And he said, wow, you look like you're hitting that ball pretty good up against the Star Market wall. So Dick hangs up, and I'm the next guy on the phone. And I start talking with him. He didn't know who I was either. And I said, geez, Dwight, you're not going to believe this, but I was also in the Redstone Shopping Center going by, and I saw the whole thing. But to me, it looked like the pitcher was getting the best of you. At that point, and he says, who are these guys? So we've had a lot of fun over the years with a lot of customers. Well, I started cutting hair in 1975. At that time, Dick had taken over from my dad, who had died about 8 years before, down in Redstone, and Dick was running that shop down there. And my brother Bob was running his shop up here in Reading. And at the time when I graduated from school, Dick had an opening down there, and I went to work for Dick. And he and I worked together side by side down there from 1975 to January of 1990. And at that time, we merged the two businesses at this location. My brother Bob and Dick ran the business from 1990 to about May of 2000. And at that time, my wife Joanna and I bought the business from them. And Bob and Dick continued to work here up until Bob's death in February of '06. And Dick naturally is still here, and have 11 workers that work here, 5 of which are family members. My wife and I, Joanna and I, Dick and Karen, and my niece Susan, who's Bob's youngest daughter. My youngest daughter is 19, and she's currently in barber school. And we hope to have her on board sometime in the spring.
This has been a wonderful experience, just being part of this history. It's a long time to be in business for a family business like this. I came into it in, I believe, in the 70s. We were at Redstone, and we divided the shop there, and I opened a beauty salon. And that was in the late 70s, and then in the late 80s we moved here. And I had meanwhile gone to barber school and got that license, and so I was able to come here and start here with the business here. So that was my involvement. It was almost a prerequisite to get into the family. You had to cut hair.
We're very blessed to have met so many people that otherwise we wouldn't have known, and to really be a part of a community for which we're very grateful.
Well, I graduated from Bentley College in 1977 and joined the business then with my dad. Got my graduate gemologist degree from Santa Monica in 1990. The business has changed quite a bit since my dad first started. When they first started in business back in '56, giftware, cards were a big part of the business. As the years have gone on, we've gotten away more from the giftware end of it and more into fine jewelry, colored stones, diamonds, platinum. Of course, the internet over the last 6 or 7 years has changed it even more dramatically. You can go online, shop at home, yet we still find that most people care to actually feel the pieces, see the pieces. We do a lot of special order work for people. They have their ring, they want to match it with the earrings. You know, we're capable of designing pieces. So we've really moved more from just a retailer to more custom type work.
My family used to travel to New Hampshire. We used to come through Reading Square, and I always liked Reading Square. Just sort of, it was a pretty picture of a town. So when I decided to go into business, it stayed in my mind. I remembered Reading, and we researched Reading for a location for our business, and luckily I found this store, and that was 50 years ago. I raised my family here. All my kids went to school here.
Well, Reading's a good town. Reading has always been a good town. The people, you know, a lot of the people work in Boston or work in the technology loop.
The whole town has changed. The business community has changed. New faces, new businesses. with the exception of those that have maintained our business and stayed here, like myself, Atlantic. Walter Hersey, he came in shortly after I did, Hersey Jewelers. There was another jeweler, and he was in his name was Hanscom. He was in the Lyceum building. Years ago, there was a Lyceum building on the corner. He was on the lower level. And when Walter Hersey came to town, he bought that fellow's business. So he was the only jeweler in town. Well, before that was Mr. Charles, the original jeweler in this town, because he was here 100 years ago. You know, he was a town clerk and town jeweler, town stationery store, town everything. But after him came Hanscom, myself, Hersey, and what you see now.
I've been very active in the community as well. I've served on the chamber. I've been the president of the chamber in 2000. I'm currently the president of the downtown steering committee, and hopefully one day we'll see this downtown area revitalized. Hopefully this year, but we'll see what happens. So we've been very active in the community as well as not only being here for retail purposes.
I'm sort of semi-retired. I really don't work here. I visit now, and they allow me to do little things once in a while. I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing some of the old customers, talk to some of the salesmen as they come in. But I really visit more than work here now. I'm sort of a guest in my own business.